Hello, the English speakers, and here you see the church tower, the bell tower, and another blue spruce, very popular here, but I still haven't seen anyone in the forest. We'll talk about branding and the zeitgeist and some propaganda and trends, but let's start by taking a big, deep blue spruce breath. That was not nice. Someone is burning wood here, so the air is not fresh. Ew. So I'm here to enlighten your bullshit. Yesterday I said enlight instead of enlighten, and that's totally correct if you are in the 13th century. So that was a little bit oldish said, but enlight is not wrong because I said it. It's just oldish. So how to support farmers? And I can't donate to them, but I can make slogans that are worth billions of dollars in propaganda value. So in Swedish it was easy. It came to me from God or something like that. Bönder behöver beskydd. So you can hear how great it sounds. Bönder behöver beskydd. Farmers need protection, which doesn't sound good at all. So why did I craft it? First of all, BB is very good. Build back better is not as good as bönder behöver beskydd. But if you say support our farmers, imagine that you're an average person. You might be poor, you're hardworking, and still you have problems, and your empathy is simply not enough to actually support a hardworking also farmer that might be a millionaire or multi-millionaire because, well, they are hardworking and they do have a lot of assets. So imagine that if you aren't that rich, or if you are just moderately rich, but you have to work really hard for it, and there is no farmer coming there to you and helping you with your stuff. So that doesn't work. You don't have extra money to support any farmer. But if you imagine that people like Bill Gates, World Economic Forum, and Big Pharma comes there and want to feed the cows with Bovaer that makes them burp less and become more sick, and the farmers need to dress up in protective clothing just to poison their cows. You don't want that, and you don't want anyone like Bill Gates and climate fanatics close to your food. So you need to protect your food. You need to protect the farmers, even if all the thing you can do is to speak up and say that your propaganda is built of lies, your propaganda is from Satan. If that's all you can do, it might be enough if everyone is fighting this fight. So you can see the image for you that you have these farmers that might be rich, but they are hardworking and they are working with the food that you eat, and you protect them and the food that will be yours with your anti-propaganda and your wisdom from God, protecting the lies from Satan. So the best I and Grok, we were spitting ideas with each other, is protect Plough Patriots. Plough. Protect Plough Patriots. Plough Patriots sound pretty poetic, but it's really weird. Farmers need protection. That's way more simple, especially it sounds really good in Swedish. But protect Plough Patriots, it might actually work even better if it's spoken a lot. but it's not something that easily will catch on. But if it does catch on, then it will be more powerful, and farmers will start to have, signs with "I'm a Plough Patriot." Plough has a problem though, that it's spelled differently in English and in American. So can you please fix that? If you start to notice all the manipulations, you might be less, you might seem cold and selfish. So think a little bit about that and explain yourself why you're not crying when you should, according to the manipulators. Explain that you're just harder to manipulate. You're not more selfish than you were before. Tommy Robinson is wondering why the Labour government in UK, why are they importing terrorists? And then he is linking to an article that has nothing to do with that. It's about that Palestinians that study in UK should be allowed to bring their families to UK. I don't know why he posted that unrelated article there, but the reason that UK still is allowing Zionist terrorists is because they managed to murder the Queen. So you remember what the Queen said, that every Israel is a terrorist or a child of a terrorist. So she was very much correct. And she was murdered by the Jewish mafia and their so-called vaccines. She would totally have lived until 110 because she was a tough lady. And there is a great story when she was a young queen. She had a guest, a Saudi Arabian king, that came, and she asked him if he wanted to drive or go for a ride in a Land Rover. Wouldn't that be great to have in the desert? And yeah, that sounds like fun, said the king. And then he went into the passenger seat of the Land Rover, and he looked around and wondered, where is the driver? And then the Queen started to drive. And she had an education from the military driving this Land Rover. And she drove it until the king got very white in his face. So she proved who is the boss. And that was her. Unfortunately, this story, of course, isn't totally true. It was a Jewish mob that ran. It's true that she could drive a Land Rover. What isn't true is that she was in charge of UK. That was, unfortunately, the Jewish mafia. Otherwise, she had all the Zionist terrorists not be allowed in UK, I would say. As I am on Substack, it might be good to know a little bit about Substack. And I have less than 1,000 followers, so you should follow me. It's free, but you can pay for it, and you might get some extra Substack about more private stuff sometimes. But we who have less than 1,000 subscribers, we are a very tiny, there are very many of us, but we are a tiny part of the economy for Substack. So we are only less than 1% of the entire income. So the biggest account, on the other hand, the ones with more than 500,000 of subscribers, they only account for 7.8%. So the really big ones are also not important. So it's the medium-sized accounts from 1,000 followers to 500,000 followers. Those accounts are the bread, the main course for the income for Substack. So they are the most important. what I find hard with Substack is to find or to get new subscribers from the platform. I am trying really hard to use this feed that you have on Substack. It works like the feed on X or Facebook, and in that way I can comment sometimes on people that I knew from X where they deleted me because of Zionism. But it's not great. I hope it gets better and that more posts in this feed make more notes. But it's simply not enough people commenting there yet. We'll see if that gets better. It took a while for me to realize that it even existed, even though I knew about it, but not really how to use it. And of course, the really big accounts that are on other platforms, they do not need to worry about getting banned. We come to that later on, but you can have a YouTube account. If you have millions of followers, you don't have to worry because you're too big to delete. So I talked about this Douglas fir before. So it's a pseudotsuga. I like to pronounce the ps and ps. Pseudotsuga. That's an oak. Totally unrelated, but I like to point out all the oaks here. Here we actually have something similar that I do not know exactly what it is. I think it's a normal Norwegian spruce that have been strangely... Oh yeah, here's a fir, at least. I think. And this is a... It should be a Swiss stone pine. We'll look that up someday. But this Pseudotsuga menziesea pinacea, very hard to pronounce, but I've linked to a video about a lady that says this very many times in Latin. So it's called Douglas fir, and a lot of noise here. This is the quiet part of the town. She does say about the needles, you can make tea of them. Just you can make tea out of some pines. Some pines are poisonous, so make sure that your pine isn't poisonous, or your fir or whatever you are making your needle tea out of. But you don't get any vitamin C from it. That's a total myth, even though the needles do contain a lot of vitamin C. When you boil it out and dilute it so much with water, you get almost nothing that have any medical or health benefit whatsoever. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't act like vitamin C. So this tea, they made an in vitro study, and it has antioxidant effects like vitamin C, but it's not the vitamin C in it that has this effect, but other substances. So you can read that in vitro study. In vitro means that it's done in glasses, not with plants or animals, just with some cells and tissues. There are many people critical about Onlyfans and want to forbid them. We have done that here in Sweden in July the 1st. So what happened? That might be really good to know if you want to discuss this. And they have, Onlyfans have blocked Sweden and blocked Swedish payments. So this means for the creators, that is the ones who are producing porn, live porn for Onlyfans, they have lost between 40 and 60%. So half, I thought this was a statue, but it's moving. Must be an undead statue. some sort of Halloween decoration, I guess. Or maybe it's actually a real dog. Have a look at it if you want. So that is what's happening. I assume that these Swedish content creators actually have foreign customers. But now in Sweden, to use Onlyfans, you need to have a VPN, that's easy, or some proxy that you go via to actually even access Onlyfans. But the problem is payment. You need to have some crypto or whatever. So it's harder. So that is what is happening if you ban it. I'm not sure if banning Onlyfans is a good idea. I'm really sure that Onlyfans is a bad idea to use, and people should not use it. And they are also supporting APAC when they are using Onlyfans. So do not let people do that and shame them. But I don't know if ban is the best way to crush Onlyfans. Also worth remembering, COVID. If they did manage to create this virus that they say that they did create, and that was the big problem. That wasn't the big problem, that we know for sure. The big problem was the reaction to the pandemic. It was not the actual pandemic that spread, because it wasn't that dangerous. And it could have led to a lot of good things, people learning about health, how to cure flus and respiratory problems in a much better way. I learned, for example, how to chew star anise. There are other ways that you can get rid of throat pain. It's very effective and very easy to cure, and it might help you not get so sick. And if you have a running nose, etc., there are simple ways to take care of that. And of course, get your vitamin D, and don't eat a lot of sugar. That will make you sicker. So it could have led to a great education of the public, but instead people got dumber, and most of the people in the world are guilty of doing this destruction, especially destroying the lives of children, which is the biggest crime of COVID. And that was something that the creators of the virus, they were totally innocent of that. Isaac Saul is of course a Jew, but he is thinking that he's smart. So he asks a rhetorical question, he thinks, but he gets answers. He asks, when have Jews ever prosecuted Christians? Yeah, they usually don't do that. They do false flag terrorism, they do genocides, like the Manila Pool massacre in the beginning of the 8th century, until the heathen Persians stopped them. So they massacred 50,000 Christian women and children and old people because they thought that was fun. But the latest, not the latest, of course there are a lot of Jews that hate justice, so they are in the justice system in Israel, USA and all over Europe, and they prosecute innocent people because they worship Satan. But the worst example is Nuremberg. In Nuremberg they were smashing testicles, and they got very many testimonies and what's called admissions, confessions. People confessed. No evidence was needed. So they confessed that they used atomic bombs in Auschwitz, and they even did a lot of crimes, murdered millions of people in concentration camps that didn't exist. So that was of course mostly done by Jews. They were 2/3 or more of the torturers and gangsters that were leading this so-called trial or scam trial. Mike Flynn is either the worst awful neocon liar there is, or he is doing some sort of psyop. We hope for the latter, but I can say do not trust anything he is saying. He is spreading disgusting neocon lies. So Mike Flynn is saying that he's calling Maduro the narco-terrorist Maduro. And he wonder why Russia knows that Maduro stole the election in Venezuela for some reason, because Russia knew about the polling that were done by CIA companies that are known for lying, and they have no evidence whatsoever. Of course, Maduro rigged the election in the sense that he has control over the country, but this so-called Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Corina Machado, she was not popular and she did not run in the presidential election. It was an old man that no one knows who it is. So of course she is not the rightful president, and she was not allowed to run because she works for enemy powers like USA and Israel, and she wants to sell out the entire country. She also, Maria Corina Machado, she supports Israel's Holocaust of the Palestinians, and she also wants the same for Venezuela. So if she gets into power, she will give the Jewish gangsters all the assets from Venezuela. But to get into power, she wants a genocide of the people first, with a bloody invasion of the country. So that's how you win the Peace Prize. You advocate for a genocide of your own people. Norway, your leadership there is even more awful than the Swedish criminals that gave a Nobel Prize for mRNA genocide. Maduro is, however, actually waking up now. That was on time. He is mass distributing rifles among the militias. Of course, he's not suicidal, so he doesn't give weapons to his political enemies. That would be really stupid. So he's not a libertarian, that's for sure. But at least he's starting to realize that you can't have a helpless people, because then some criminals will join them. But this, of course, tend to it breaks the propaganda against him that he should be some sort of communist or socialist if he is handing out weapons to his supporters, but to the people. And it makes him look that he actually knows that he is quite popular among this group. So maybe if this Jewish machinery that has been calling him a socialist and communist even, the economy in Venezuela is not bad due to socialism. It's bad because of the sanctions. Venezuela is not best friends with Iran, Russia and China because they are traitors. It's because of the sanctions, as I've explained many times. So everything here is done by USA that they blame Maduro for, even General Mike Flynn, that I really hope is doing some sort of psyop, because he's saying disgusting stuff that I didn't think of him. So I expect that the narrative from the Zionists, it will change to call him a Nazi Maduro. So that will be fun, one can guess. Israel, how do you celebrate Halloween in Israel? You are doing a Holocaust, of course, and burn some Christians in Taipei. That's a city or a town on the West Bank filled with Christians. It was. Now it's burned down because that's how they celebrate Halloween, when they worship Satan. Norman Finkelstein was on Candace Owens and got interviewed. I'm not a big fan. I will not listen to that. I have other things to listen to. But he might be good if you are on some sort of opinion that you need to have a Jew telling you. Finkelstein is of course a Jew, anti-Zionist one. I don't think that, but he knows how to bash Israel for their crimes. And the best part here was Candace Owens when she posted about it, and she says that in 1948 it was Jewish Bolsheviks that genocided and stole the land. So that's very good to say if you have a conservative audience, that it was communists and they did celebrate Lenin and Stalin, and they do have communist kibbutzes still in Israel. So yes, call them communist and Bolsheviks because that's what they are. Then I have an image that says that 60 millions were killed by the Bolsheviks. So they were murdering long before they came to Palestine. It's a little bit hard to fit in 60 million Jews. No, 60 million killed by Jews in Soviet. If you look at... So here you don't have a Douglas fir, but pretty similar. It's another kind of fir, I think a green fir. I locked it up before. So take that with a grain of salt. It might be 60 million that got genocided and not murdered. So you get genocided if you get ethnically cleansed. And I can see that Bolsheviks, they did move. They might have killed 10 millions or 6 millions at least, but then there was a lot of people that they moved around to uproot them and take them away from their farms, etc. So maybe, but also Soviet was growing until the Second World War. They were conquering a lot of areas in Asia that you have never heard about, and therefore they got more people, and we can't trust the amount of people in Soviet during the end of the Tsar Russia and the beginning of the Soviet Union. Those estimates are very shaky, at least. But no, 60 millions is a little bit too much, but why not say like that? And there was of course a lot of babies that didn't get born because of everything that, for example, the Bolsheviks did, and also the Bolsheviks' enemies, of course. Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan. I have listened to 2 hours of it. It's not that interesting if you follow Elon Musk. He talks about his rockets and robots. The rockets are way better than we thought, yada yada. I still do not like that he has such a close relationship with Larry Ellison. And X has some research and development in Tel Aviv, and that's of course only to do propaganda and censorship and deletion of me, by the way. And X is also using 6 Israeli companies. There is no... You have to be really dumb or uninformed if you ever use Israeli companies for anything, or you are doing something criminal. That's the reason to use anything from Israel. I do not think that Elon Musk is dumb, so someone is doing something criminal under his watch together with these Israeli companies, I would say. And Elon Musk did commit a gas libel. Elon Musk did a very good and horrible explanation about how they operate children, and often these children die because they do not know how to they do know how to cut off a penis and the testicles, but making holes in them, and yeah, I don't want to talk about it even. That is disgusting, but and really great that Elon Musk is fighting against this, and it should be even harder fought, because that is truly satanic. But then he blames Mengele. He should blame Magnus Hirschfeld. Magnus Hirschfeld did not. He got stopped by the National Socialists. Mengele, on the other hand, he did not do those awful operations that Magnus Hirschfeld did, maybe on children even. So what Mengele did was totally innocent psychological experiments on twins in the Auschwitz concentration camp. And these experiments were harmless. It was about psychology. And all the twins survived the war. Every single twin that was in this war zone concentration camp, they got saved by the National Socialists and the concentration camp guards. And then they moved to USA, and they started a lot of NGOs and got rich about lying about Mengele. So Mengele moved to Brazil, and he got actually interviewed by one of his sons, and he said that he had done nothing wrong and only tried to rescue people, rescue their life, basically. But his son didn't believe him. So there is at least the light in the end of the tunnel. It's black. Yeah, it's Candace Owens. She's continuing. It's really exciting, even if you are not interested in the Charlie Kirk thing at all. It's the best thing to follow at the moment. She's making a great story of it, and she's really denouncing Christian Zionists. They are the scum of the earth, and they should know it, and they prove it every day, and how the Mormons and the Christian Zionists are trying to destroy Turning Point USA and how they infiltrate it. And it's a developing story about 2 Egyptian planes that have been following Charlie Kirk's events for 2 years, with contractors for some reason flying with Egyptian planes to where they are. Maybe it's totally a legitimate reason. Maybe they are part of the security or whatever. Who knows? But we'll see. And great of Candace Owens. I used to follow Mel. She is very noticing. She's against the Jewish mafia. And she only has less than 200,000 followers. One of them is Candace Owens, and Candace Owens is promoting her and her look into some very criminal church. So you should follow Mel. So you can search for Vilge, so it's like village but without a, villgecrazylady. And if you search for that on X, you will find absolutely nothing. Nothing. That is her account. So if you follow, go to that. You have to type in the URL. You can't find her. After getting promoted by Candace Owens, she can't be found. So they are heavily shadow banning her, maybe because it's an automatical thing when you get hundreds of thousands of new followers suddenly, which I hope she will get. then they want to control you and make sure that you don't grow. But the good thing for Mel is that she can't be deleted now. If you are closely followed by Candace Owens, that even promotes you, you don't, the signist don't dare to remove her. So that's good. I gave her a coffee and told her about my situation. I'm not cheap, I'm just very poor and can't buy her a lot of coffee, just one. But please help her to explain that all her followers that are not as big as they get noticed by Candace Owens, we are getting deleted for stupid reasons. Me and Use Yandex, for example, that gets deleted because they can delete us. But it went long this time. If you want to watch more about Charlie Kirk, they have finally built a dummy with skeletons and stuff and shot at it. They did a mistake, so they should redo it, but then they have a bullet and they see that the wig is blowing up, just like the hair was standing up on Charlie Kirk there. Maybe I have a hard time seeing that this would be an exit wound, but that's what they did when they shot the dummy. So if you are interested in ballistics, you can watch that. I have links on my Substack. And finally, a cute link with a big warning. It's 2 brown bears, and these bears are doing very cute stuff. These are really big monsters and they can beat up and kill lions and tigers. Remember that. They are really cute, but they are also really dangerous if they won't. Often they don't want that. Here in Sweden, at least, our brown bears almost never attack anyone except hunters and people who are falling onto them into their winter nest. But with that, see you again tomorrow. I will make it shorter.